All right, welcome everybody to today's conversation. My name is Charles, joined with my wife, Nicole. We are known as the Gillicks.
Today on our episode, we have our lovely, lovely, beautiful daughter, Riley. She has the pleasure of working with us every day in the salon, and we are going to chat with her about what that experience is like. Riley,
I'm excited to be here.
thanks.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and
What you're
your
doing
role in the
now.
salon.
Yeah.
I have been, I started a long time ago with both of you. Really in high school, I think I was about 16. Yeah.
How'd you end up in there?
Well, I needed a job. So, so really I just did a lot of sweeping and cleaning color bowls, and then eventually made my way to being a receptionist. And then I now do hair.
So as you got through your role of being a receptionist and now a stylist, what were some of your challenges just with us being your bosses, or, being your bosses being your parents? What were some of your challenges or some of the benefits?
I would say probably the receptionist leading into my apprenticeship, and then being a stylist was probably the hardest because I was a teenager and you guys were my parents and my boss. So I think navigating, trying to learn from you as well as being raised by you was challenging through the ages of probably 16 to 19.
Yeah.
It's gotten much easier now.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was probably rough for you guys.
It was a little crazy. I just think, it's hard to parent and all of our coaching and coach at the same time, but then all of our coaching, I think, felt like parenting.
Mhm.
So it was kind of a struggle. Having somebody that we actually apprenticed you. So you didn't have the opportunity to go to school.
Yeah. And at that age, you don't ever think your parents are right about anything. And you're also teaching me my profession. So that was took me a little bit longer than it should have or needed to.
How long did it take you being in the industry and actually doing hair to make you feel like this is where you wanted to be? Because I know for a long time it was like this big battle in your mind about, I want to go to college and do what everybody else is doing, which you could have done for sure.
Yeah.
But
I would say once I got over the hump of seeing my friends go away to college and starting to actually learn how to do hair, I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Interesting. Do you feel like it was a challenge, like social media made it a challenge to be here, like be home
most
doing
definitely.
hair?
I knew that I didn't want to go. I didn't know what I would go to college for. I just wanted to go to college because everyone was at college and not living with their parents and having fun and breaking the rules.
I think most of those people too, they don't know what the hell they're there for either. They're just trying to do what their parents tell them. And I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate. We said, no, you're going to do hair. So what were your thoughts going into with that?
Really, I remember being like 16, starting to work there, and you guys had mentioned you could do an apprenticeship. And I remember Mom and I having plenty of conversations of like, this doesn't have to be you agreeing to do hair the rest of your life. But by the time you're done with high school, you'll have a profession to fall back on if you want to go to college.
It's kind of a crazy thing that you can apprentice somebody while they're still in school and they can obtain a trade license, that can, even if you went away to college, you could have had a little nice side gig doing some hair.
And, I think it was interesting because when you and I talk, or we talk to prospective hires, or that a lot of times what we hear is that my parents told me I have to go to college first. And we were doing the opposite. We were like, no, you're not going to college first. You're going to get a trade first because we know how kids are when they go to college.
Well, and I think ultimately I remember having the conversation of like, if you want to go to college, that's totally fine. But all of my friends were like only children and their parents were going to fully pay for them to go to college. My older brother had a scholarship. And so I knew if I wanted to go and basically just party and have an experience, I was going to have a lot of student debt that I was going to have to pay back.
Party.
Yeah.
It was going to be, I kept telling her that. I'm like, it's going to be an expensive party.
Exactly.
What was it like growing up? I mean, I've owned a salon since you were 4. So what was it like growing up with having a parent that owned a small business?
I think there were many pros and cons. I would say I can vividly remember like having birthday parties with a bunch of girls at the salon. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
fun.
always pretty cool and fun.
You had that one
Um,
super dramatic girl though
yeah,
that
yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
kind of tried to ruin the
Cried,
party.
yeah.
She was not happy. That was crazy.
Yeah, no, I think it taught me a lot. I think it taught all of my siblings a lot, but I think there also was a lot of things that you guys had to be at work during, and a lot of times that you guys had to work even if we wanted to do something else.
Yeah, I would say that for me is the hardest part of when I even look back at you guys being younger, because we raised 5 kids together, and how many things we either missed or would be there in body, but not.
Have to, yeah.
We were always putting out a fire or
Or we would be late for it, and we're still late to things because of the business. So
yeah, we're late always. I mean, if
To
the
everything.
salon's open, we don't make it. I mean, if the salon isn't open, we do pretty good now.
We try to plan for Sundays.
Yeah, we do pretty good. Yeah, Sundays are like, a good day for us. We can make it to church on time usually. We always make it
I
to
think
church
that's a
on
song,
time.
isn't it? Isn't that a
We
song?
can make it to church on time? I don't know. I wish you
Most
knew
of the
it. You could
time.
sing it for
Right
us.
on the dot.
Yeah, right. We walk in right as it's starting. But we've come to really treasure that day. People ask us all the time why we don't open, 7 days a week or Sundays could be
Mhm.
so good. What are your thoughts on that? Would you want to work on Sundays?
No. I think Sunday, I've never mind working Saturdays. Such a short day, but Sundays are a day that we can have with the rest of our family that aren't in this business.
Yeah.
And then we have our Mondays to kind of recoup and do all of the things while everyone else is at work, get ready for our next week.
Yeah, and I know Nicole's already mentioned it, but you're killing it now in the hair world, right?
Thank you.
You're destroying it. And before, you had challenges of you couldn't even hold your comb right, which
Yep.
is almost everybody that goes into this industry, unless they're just incredibly gifted. But now that you are on the other side of actually retaining clients and trying to build up your clientele, how was that path from nothing to what you got going on now?
To greatness,
I think really, well, I grew up with a lot of brothers and I rode horses growing up. So I think the weirdest transition, or what was kind of holding me back in the beginning, was I got to learn in such a like real life way in the salon versus being at school. But I'm a very technical person. So like unlocking that creative or artistic side of things was hard for me. And I think once I finally got that down and could actually be creative within it, then it was easy peasy. It happens overnight. I remember feeling like I would never get there. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I am here.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with
Yeah,
it. I've got such great success. That's so interesting for me to hear because creativity is not I'm not lacking in that department. I would probably lack more in the technical side of things. That's why I like learning, working with this bookkeeper for the last year has been so challenging for me because I'm like, oh, can't we make this a pretty spreadsheet? Or like, I need a prettier budget report. It would be so much nicer. So that's so funny because I would say that's probably one of the biggest benefits to yours and Charles' relationship because you're both much more into that technical, like the way you execute, even conversations. I would say conversationally, you're probably more like me behind the chair with your clients, but the way you execute the actual service is so much more of how he does things. Like he can teach you in that realm so much better than I can. I'm so open-ended and like loosey-goosey. I'll give you 17 different ways to
I
get
have
there.
to very much like know the technical situation of why I'm doing what I'm doing down to a T before I can allow my brain to even try to be creative with it. So now I feel like color extensions, that kind of stuff, I'm allowed to have creativity and be fun and kind of break the rules with that. But I still have to like be able at the end of the day to really technically know why I am doing it.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Do you feel like that has been what's really helped you succeed with extension work? Because you're doing great with it.
I
It's
think,
been
yeah.
fun to watch what you're doing with that.
I'm also a very OCD human being. So I think that those both tie together and help tremendously.
What do you love about doing that work?
It's just tedious. It's you can improve upon that skill set forever, like everything else. But even the foundation or the base of it, there's no, oh, you did a highlight and then you're going to tone and you can fix whatever issues you need to. It's just one set thing. You have to be tedious from start to finish. You have no other option.
You've been up to Fashion Week. That was early on with your mom and I. And then you've been on trips with us with other salons or other artists. What can you say about our salon that might stand out differently than some of the other things you've seen?
Well, I mean, all of it is so different. From everything we do is different. My dad's wife does own a hair salon, but even that is so different. That's rental, and they're all very independent. They do their own thing. We're so much of a team, and you guys are so much of, like, as a younger kid, I think it actually, which sounds so terrible to say of me, but I think it was like, oh my gosh, why do you want me to be a part of all of this? I just want to be a kid and go do my thing. Now I've grown up and can tell, like, what a cool thing it is to work for. I've never met two other people that are like, oh, I want everyone to be at everything that we get to experience. So, and you've made it possible for all of those trips, Italy, New York, all of that.
It's something that's so important to us, and I struggle with it. I mean, I love to share experiences with the people I love. So whether it's our salon team or whether it's, our kids, everything we do, and Charles can, testify to this because I think he's like, dear God, please stop inviting people to come. We could just go. But everything we do, where either the team's not there or our family's not there, I always say, oh my gosh, I wish
we could experience this
I
with
wish our
them.
kids
Even
were
if
here. I
it's
wish our grandkids
just, I
were
was going
here.
to
I
say,
wish
even
our
if it's
team
just
was
a
here.
family thing, I feel like you typically are like, oh, I wish our team was here, or I'm going to bring the team here.
Yeah. I mean, I just am passionate about the people that are in my life, and I want to share. I want them to have every good thing that I have. It's taken me a long time to learn that what's good for me is not always what's their good thing. Everybody has different stuff. I think that's something that I even learned through our relationship together at work. What you need at the end of a day or to start your day is very different than what my day. So how do you feel like we've done navigating that?
I feel like I almost can't even remember. I feel like I'm at the point where I can't even remember where it was challenging. I think we all do really well with it.
Because there's a lot of us.
There are. And I think everyone does really, really good with it. I would say, I can definitely tell there are certain situations where I'm exhausted and I can't mentally handle anymore. And so you won't share those things with me or put like certain things on me.
That's been a tough one. Like we had to learn.
Well, and it's weird because there's certain times where I'll have my feelings hurt about it. And then other times where I'm like, no, you are my mom and you can also tell that I can't handle anything else right now.
Yeah, it's more of a protection than it is a withholding. But we had to really learn that as more of our kids. We now have, how many kids working in our business?
4.
Technically 4, I guess.
Yeah. So we had to learn that every meal can't be about the business. Like for the ones that weren't in the business, for one, they were like, dear God, please, can we stop talking about this business? It's so much. And then for those of us that are in it, we also had to learn that there has to be some space and separation. Yeah. So I do think it's something that we're all very intentional about now.
And I think we're doing, you guys have done, very good about it. Like in terms of family dinners, that kind of stuff, birthday parties for families. We'll talk about it if it's a random night and we're at home and we need to respond to clients or any of that stuff. But there are also like your mom's birthday. You were like, okay, we're not doing that today.
What do you think it's like for the rest of the team to have all of these people that are?
I think they feel that it's a pro and con as well.
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes, I don't think work itself is hard. I think what's hard sometimes is that we are a very fortunate family. And so we're all very close.
Yeah.
And not everyone has that. And I think that makes it more challenging for people than anything.
Yeah, because we have so many people in our industry, not just our salon, but in our industry that
It's like scientifically proven hairstylists are like one of the most broken people or have gone through a lot
most
of
hardship.
struggle. Yeah.
I would think that's true. And the reason that they would be drawn to this industry is because what we do for people
Exactly.
and how much we can make a person's day so much better.
Mhm.
So it's such a feeling industry, which can also
it's
be
a positive
exhausting.
impact when you have the finished product of your client and she looks in the mirror and she gives you a smile and it's like, oh my God, thank you so much. You made me feel great, whatever. And that makes us feel good. So
Yeah, it's like a hit of
yeah,
dopamine. I
it
mean,
is.
that was one of my biggest challenges when I stopped doing as much hair, is just no one ever complimented my PowerPoints.
I like your PowerPoints.
You didn't ever say you liked them. Just super frustrating, actually. I would try to make them pretty. No one cared. I do think that as a family, we want our team to know they're part of our family. I hope that we do that for them.
I think you guys are very good at making that known.
Do you feel like you have to, are there certain times that you feel like you have to be self-aware to do that as well? Or does it come pretty easily?
I don't think I go back and forth on it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes. I think oddly enough, the older I get, the more weird it gets for me. As a teenager, I probably loved everyone being a part of it because it felt like I was hanging out with my friends and my family. There are certain things as I'm getting older where it's like, gosh, I love my mother, but she offers to share everything with all of these people around me. But there's also times where I love it. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah,
They are my friends. They are my family. That's what I do is they do life with me. I do life with them.
I think you and I definitely are learning more boundaries on whether they're our blood family or whether they're our salon family, what boundaries we can cross and what boundaries we allow
they want us to cross,
or that we allow into our personal life as well. So it's like once. And I think it's going to be an ongoing learning situation for all of us,
It is situational per person.
I was even going to say per day. Like we're all humans. It's an easy thing to feel offense about.
Yeah.
Depending on the mood or the day or anything else that's going on in your life.
Yeah, and I think it's challenging probably to see it from their perspective sometimes, you know, because to me they're as much my family as my family in terms of if we're doing something and you want to join in. Like I don't ever think about, I need to be intentional about really making sure that I make an invitation, you know, it's or let it be known that the invitation's open. And so sometimes I think that we do because we're such a big group, we kind of assume that they know.
Yeah.
And then I also assume that they're okay with me speaking about, and I don't want to say parenting, but owning a business it's all leadership. So in parenting, you're being a leader. In owning a business, you're being a leader. So oftentimes I feel like, oh man, I way overstepped with that person and I didn't realize because I'm so used to what my boundaries are with my kids. So
I think it's hard because we are such a close group at work even that most of the time if things are happening in our personal life, whether it's your family or not, we are coming to you for advice.
Yeah.
Or an ear.
No, we love that though. That's what we want.
That's what makes it rewarding for a salon owner, I think, and especially a salon owner that has a commission-based or team-based type salon that people can come to you with issues because they don't know, right?
Yeah. What do you feel like, okay, aside, being our daughter aside, what do you feel like just in the opportunity that you have at Blue, what are your big, like, those are the things that are awesome to me? Like, what do you love about being employed there?
All of it. And I think it took my friends getting out of college and getting jobs and my boyfriend and all of that to realize like how cool of a thing it is to, from start to finish my work day, I love it. There's not a part of it that is like, oh, this feels like work. I don't have to sit in an office. I don't have to do hard work outside. I get to make people feel good and pretty all day. And
you're really good at that.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's your clients
And I mean,
feel
even
that.
outside of that, if we're working, we're having meetings or traveling, you guys always do a good job at making it a fun experience. So it never feels like, oh, I have to go sit at work or go to
That's
work.
good.
It's a weird thing that I can't explain, but it is something that I feel very lucky to have.
I feel like that too. I mean, I can't quite imagine sitting at it. I do sit at a desk more often now than I used to, but I don't know how people have done that their whole life. Like
No.
that blows my mind.
Ugh.
Or
That would be
even just so
torture.
strict of like, you guys are very, you know that life happens and you're open to making whatever we need to have happen. And most people don't have that. With
True.
my friends' jobs, there's like no ifs, ands, or buts. You're written up if you are not there.
It is funny to watch, like to hear, because I've been self-employed my whole life. So I have never really experienced that. But now to watch our family go through
Yeah.
that, or even like with your boyfriend,
Yeah.
and he was 2 minutes late and everybody's
yeah.
stressed. It's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy to me because we're so not that. I
Yeah.
mean, we have people that are late 50% of the time. And
Yeah.
then we're finally like, okay, it's been like,
Yeah.
50% of the time. We probably should talk about it. I just feel like
But it's not. That's for a different podcast.
that is for a different podcast, actually. Okay, I have 2 questions left for you. First, I'm curious what you think the future looks like for you. What will change in the next 10 years?
I don't really know. I'm at a weird but very blessed place in my career where I am very busy. My demand is high right now. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I'm loving being able to apprentice someone. So I think it could be a cool thing to be able to continue to educate and maybe transition some of my clients over to other people, even though I'm a control freak. And the thought of that in this particular year sounds terrible.
Yeah,
It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard
But
if
I'm
you
not
see
sure.
them walking out
I'm-
and you're like, that's
Yeah.
not what I would have done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I mean, it's even hard for the 2 of us because, we've had to do that. He broke his ankle. I broke my
Mhm.
wrist. And to watch each other, and I'll be like, that's not how I do her
Yeah.
hair. That's not good. And then all of a sudden she loves it. And then you're like, oh, crap.
yeah.
There it is.
I think at the end of the day, all 4 of my parents do own businesses. So I think that is definitely in my future. I never wanted it to be, honestly, until probably Katie and Madison got into the salon as well. And I know that I won't have to ever do that by myself.
Yeah. It's awesome to not have to do it alone. I don't know how anybody does that,
I don't
really.
know. How? What kind of advice for a young lady or a young man coming up in the industry? What would you give them?
Gosh, there's so much. Just slow down and enjoy the journey. It happens very fast and you're going to get everything you want if you're willing to actually slow down and learn and do it.
That's a great one. I mean, I've said that how many times. It's so hard to watch. And it happens every single person that comes out of school. At some point, we have that conversation with them. And it always feels bad. Like we had that conversation with you.
Yeah.
What did it feel like? Like we were just idiots, or
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
She's
thought
like,
I was doing-
pretty much. You're
Peyton
just-
and I were actually talking about it yesterday, like just thinking back to our first clients. And we were like, I thought I had everything so figured out. And still now we're both 6 years in and you learn every single day. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. If you're
there
willing,
is no rush. Yeah.
if you're willing.
We're
to
over
learn.
30 years in,
Yeah.
and we learn every single day.
We're just trying to learn how to navigate life,
Yeah.
still. So it's kind of crazy.
Riley, what do you do to leave this place better than you found it?
I would say just continue to make a positive impact on as many people and jobs and places that I can.
How do you do that?
Sharing kindness, making people feel good about themselves, choosing to live with grace instead of
Yeah, you do that.
all
so
the other
well.
things.
I would say the biggest thing, I have the privilege of sitting in my office. I'm going to get emotional. I am. Oh my God. It's so weird when that happens, but it's such a privilege to be able to be in there and watch what I don't even get to watch it. I really just hear. I hear how you love big And it makes
Thank you.
okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
That I wasn't quite expecting. No, it makes me so, so proud. I love the way that you love your clients and the way that you love our team and our business, your family. Pretty awesome.
It is.
Now you have to thank her or do something to wrap this up.
To wrap this up.
Because I'm, in my mode.
Riley, thank you so much for being with us today. And for the rest of you, thanks for joining, and we will see you next time.